Whoops. Well, hi. I'm still waiting on my lovely co-host, who is the heartthrob physicist and UCF grad student, Jonathan Vonderheide. Before we get to all that, while we're waiting for him, let's talk a little bit how these streams come to be in the first place, and that is through no small part to our patrons, my patrons, the patrons, which I will now read off of a list. At our junior scientist tier, we have Chance Morgan. Let's see, what is it? Lab partners. We got Andrea. We got Jensen, Nicole, Jane. Pro tier. At our head research level, we have my co-host, usually Rin, and the Lord Empress of the lab is Donna, who is our big hitter. Yeah, and they make this happen. Normally, also several hours of work on my end makes this happen, but this week I didn't have to do much work because Jonathan did it for me. Speaking of, here he is. Well, hello.
Hey.
Welcome.
What's up?
Systems, I guess. What is it that you've been saying is evolution? It happens to the best of us.
Yeah, that's my slogan for the it's a little double entendre. If you don't get it, that's okay. Hopefully you will.
I mean, I get it, but do
Okay,
they?
do that.
All right. Well, I guess starting off, I'm just gonna do a quick overview of some nerds. Let's see. Who was it? It was Wiener, right? Weiner. I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Weiner, I think. Yeah.
He was he cybernetics? Yeah, he was the one who took the general systems theory and turned it into cybernetic system theory, which I don't think we're covering today, although that's basically just systems that like self-regulate and self-organize too, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Do you wanna
Yeah.
go, or should I start listing every scientist ever? Burton Loffy's my
Yeah.
favorite.
You can do like a little historical interlude if you want.
So, what you're covering like evolution and the main guy involved in that, and I'm gonna butcher his name because I never say it correctly, but Burton Lanfy von Bert. He's a German guy, right? Ludwig,
Mm,
and he was the one who came up with general systems theory. He is one of the heavy hitters, and he was a biologist too. And I think specifically he was looking at like open and closed systems within cells, which is horrendously relevant to tonight because I hear that cells have something to do with evolution. I can't confirm that though. I've never seen a cell myself.
I think that's accurate. Yeah.
I mean, other than that, yeah, we got the Wiener and von Neumann, who I will get into him next time, and as well as Ashby, who like really started applying this to cognition, which is what I give a shit about. So, yeah, I'm done. You
Yeah.
go ahead now.
So you intend to do a couple videos on systems theory?
Hell yeah! I mean, there's a lot, right? It's a system of
There is a lot.
systems.
It's like relatively kind of new, I guess, of a thing, but there's a shitload of literature on it. Uh,
I mean, like, I want to say like the last 80 years is when it really started being a thing, but
mm,
we'll call it 100.
right. Okay. Yeah, I can kick it off. Uh, so yeah, I mean,
Oh
I'm
yeah,
just talking about evolution with a little systems theory in there to start. I should say that I'm not a biologist. Mostly I study this from the computational side of things.
mm,
So you'll see a bit of that. Uh, Also, interrupt me if like something on the slide doesn't work because I can't see anything but the slide.
that's fair.
Uh, so yeah, it happens to the best of us because everyone else dies. So this you might have seen this if you're a nerd. You might have seen this. I remember seeing this and I was like, holy shit, this is what I'm into, right?
Yeah,
So we're talking about systems theory, and if you can't read it there, there's a lot of stuff. Cybernetics. I know you're gonna want to talk about.
yeah.
I do focusing on computational theory, right? Entropy has with it, but unfortunately, I don't think I have time to get into all that.
Maybe next time.
Regardless, you have all this other stuff, and the problem with the evolution is it ends up being everywhere. So you have pattern formations, blah blah, cellular automata. I'm gonna get into that. Dissipative structures. Essentially, everything's a dissipative structure. So, and some, of course, nonlinear dynamics. Like it's all very intertwined. Evolution, obviously, right? Fucking networks, scale-free networks. That's like just it's another way to represent it mathematically. Collective behavior, of course. Nothing is really alone. So everything but game theory, really.
But what if
Um,
game theory?
Game theory is gonna be in it, but I hate game theory because people just use it for politics. It's like bullshit. So here's a little definition. I'm not gonna read everything. I expect people to read it.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Well, if it's too fast, you're gonna post the video later. So
That's true. Hit pause if you want to read more.
yeah, exactly. But the reason we're using it to study evolution is because it gives us this method of understanding both animate and inanimate levels, um, which allows us to track what changes and what doesn't. Mostly what does not change, because the structure of evolution, the pattern that it is going to be those invariants over time. Like no matter what system you're looking at, there's going to be some consistency. So hopefully you've seen this. Again, if you're a fucking nerd, um, which all due respect, of course, it's just a XKCD comic talking about purity. Sociologists are just applied something else, and then applied psychology, yada yada, all the way down the line. But there's a bunch of takes on it, and here's my take on it. Right, these are just different systems. Right, going from left to right, it's more simple.
That's actually it's funny because there's a preeminent scientist in each of these listed fields. Like we
Yeah.
got sociologist was Hammond, uh, psychologist. Yeah, I think that Ashby counts as that, and we got Burton Laffy in biology. I don't remember who was chemistry, but physics was von Neumann, and
Oh
then
yeah.
mathematicians we got over here with Weiner, Steiner, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Von Neumann was huge. Uh,
Grey goo.
what's his
Actually,
name? The dude that got killed for being gay.
Turing.
Yeah, Turing. He did a lot of biology, and he kind of like pioneered reaction diffusion systems,
The hell is
fundamental
that?
mathematics. It's you'll see. It's near the end.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to rush through, so let's do
Well,
that.
no, take your time. Take your time. We got plenty of
I don't
time.
want to take my time.
Okay, go on.
Okay, I got like 2 minutes per slide or something. There's a lot of slides. But the basic theory, if you know anything about systems theory, you know that it's trying to divide the environment from whatever you're trying to study, which is the system. Um, Obviously, oftentimes you're studying the interaction between the system and its surroundings. Uh, you might even consider the boundary itself the system if you're getting into it, because that's really the important part. Um, and yeah, you have closed systems, open systems. Open systems, yeah, everything's open in biology, unless it's like. See, I have here that closed systems are just ideal versions of relatively isolated systems. If you have like a fungus that's growing in a pond and it doesn't grow anywhere else or something like that, it's relatively closed, right?
Yeah.
But it's still open because it swaps mass with its environment and whatnot.
I mean, if you want to get
Um,
like into the nitty gritty, that boundary really comes down to the difference between tightly and loosely coupled systems. Because, like,
yeah.
in theory, all of the systems change depending on your scope, but that tight and loose
Hmm.
coupling is usually where we draw the boundary.
Right. Yeah, systems theory is all about being like really specific about what the hell you're defining as the system. Because any abstraction, either outward or inward, is gonna mess with everything. So here's a little very complicated graph. Uh, the point here to take away is that on the bottom you have simple systems, and they self-interact and they interact with the environment, and they couple, like you were saying, together, and then those couplings can couple, and so on and so on. And you get this sort of hierarchy of control, self-organization, quote unquote emergence, which I'm going to quote every time. Um, I hate strong emergence, but
Oh yeah, no, that's a dangerous word to
yeah,
use, and especially in like cog sci, they do not
yeah.
like that.
Philosophers like it, some of them, but physicists from where I come from, they fucking hate it. I like this one because it shows the humanoid here. The relation between them and the system that they're studying, because they have representations up on the right, and there's different ways to do that. And they also have simulations, which can serve as like a feedback mechanism. They think up the simulation and then they see if it mimics the system that they observe through experience and experiments, um, and so on and so forth. Hopefully you know what science is, because that's science. Um, yeah, this is the science channel, isn't it?
Yeah, but that doesn't really mean much. All right, I maximized the fuck out of this, so everyone should be able to see it now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this one's a little complicated, but this is just a bunch of bullshit in here, nuance. And the cool thing is that you have like an effector, which the system affects the environment, and then you have this feedback here at the bottom, and you can see the arrows, it loops around. That's the environment affecting the system once again. So you can't have any of this evolution without feedback. Uh, Unfortunately, like that's only just recently come to light, but it's really the main thing, if you ask me. I guess Darwin figured it out, but before then, no one understood. Um, so natural selection, you hear coming up with evolution all the time. Yeah, so it's just selection. Like you have a system, and you're trying to select qualities, right? Here I have specifically positive changes, not negative or neutral changes, because like if my business, for example, being the system, like was just the same, like nothing has changed, then you wouldn't say it's growing, right? You wouldn't say it's evolving
Right.
unless there's positive adaptations. What do I have here? Uh, right. Again, emphasizing the feedback loop. And
Okay.
here's a yeah, no, go for it.
So the epigenetics and microevolution, I think you might want to like dig a little deeper into that, because that's one that's pretty complicated to the layman.
Oh, so I can't just use it as an example? Are you saying?
Sadly, no. If you want, I
Refer
just
to this.
the basic like dumb person, which is like my level of understanding of epigenetics, is that you've got your DNA with expressed and unexpressed traits. Epigenetics is just kind of like a temporary suppression or expression, not even really expression, just like unsuppression. Epigenetics is pretty much just like a thing of histamine wrapped around DNA.
Yeah. Different triggers to mutate the genes during a generation, right?
So okay, that's my spiel. Please continue.
Yeah, yeah. I'm the only point here that I'm trying to emphasize is that the environment can include the organism's internals, right? So it's not just the organism having a feedback with the environment; it's also with itself, right? As the evolution within it. So here I'm starting with the inanimate example of natural selection.
God, yes.
These little rocks are jiggling. um, and you start with a generally like random situation, and just with gravity is doing the natural selecting right now, and the basic physics of the fact that little balls like fall into cracks easier than big balls, so they end up getting segregated down to the bottom. And um, if people send messages, I can't read them.
Nah, don't worry about it. I was just posting a picture of the giant
You're
system
good.
circle.
Yeah. So this is like the simplest view of natural selection you can have. You're just jiggling a jar of rocks or something, right? This is also called like the Brazil nut effect, if you want to look it up. Because you can get the nuts from like underneath to just come up if you jiggle it enough. Just like on the right, you can kind of see it. Um, and yeah, it's trying to demonstrate that with stochastics or stochastic, just with random permutations, you can actually get an ordering of systems. So you don't need like divine intervention,
But what if?
Uh, well, maybe who knows? Okay, so now we're doing evolution, not just natural selection, from a very simple stance, right? Survival of the most stable. Consider these three shapes, right? We have squares, triangles, circles. They're listed in their stability, right? You
Hmm.
start with a system, and you have this select population, right? Um, on the bottom here, you see space-time evolving, whatever you want to call it.
Just dropping that casually. Go on.
Well, it's space, or it's time, or it's both. So I put space-time. Anyhow, you evolve the system just in time or whatever, and see the unstable ones are gone because they die. And what you're left with is semi-stable and stable. And then once again, the semi-stable dies. This is natural selection. You see, it's like over time you end up with the most stable things. That's what you would expect, right? Because the unstable things have died. It's very simple. But now adding a little complication, I'm allowing the system to interact with itself. And I hope you appreciate this little transition because you have to hack PowerPoint to get this to work. See that? It's fucking awesome.
Do it again.
I'll do it again. The trick is that it's not actually two objects, it's like a picture of two. Anyhow,
Oh god, it's so good.
yeah, I have. So if you allow it to interact with itself, then you have these constituent elements, the circle and the triangle. They combine. This is just an abstraction, right? And they make a super stable thing. And I have little stars that showed up and disappeared, just to account for the fact that you can't have like extra nuance in your system without adding complexity to the environment, right? That's
Yeah.
just like a conservation of information thing. And so, right. Novel combinations are now possible just by allowing the system to interact with itself. Uh, and this is the mark of nonlinearity. We'll get into that a little bit. Feedback and the origin of complexity, right? So now we have the same situation, but with super unstable little stars, super stable combo thing. So now we let it go. And we have this little combination, self-interaction, right? And then at the end, what you're left with a new thing that you didn't have at the beginning, and that's what like a lot of I guess science doubters are like. Well, how do we get this complexity out of if we didn't have it to begin with, right? It's because the system can interact with itself in ways that we don't think about when we first you know ask these questions.
Is that
Don't worry about. I don't know why it says complexity is, and then it just stops. Don't worry about
okay?
that. So not to get too far out here. I'm just showing you the entire fucking universe. So this point that I'm making here on the slide is that no information is allowed to be lost.
I'm sorry.
That's
On the far end,
what.
we've got the fucking thinker.
Yeah. That's us, right? Yeah. But
This
anyhow,
this might be filled with wine. I don't want to say, but go on.
mm, how long are we into it right now? 20
Dude,
minutes, I
yeah,
guess.
dude, you got fucking time. It's fine. We can go as many hours as it takes. I don't even give a shit.
I like my pace.
Okay.
um, but yeah, as I was saying, like we have this like very simple stuff at the beginning, right? It goes all the way down to like the singularity, but don't worry about that.
Singularity
You
is all
start
the
with
way
all these
down.
like it does, and then they start recombining in ways that we don't expect, and it seems like there's like complexity being added to the system, but really each time like an atom forms, right, it's releasing heat energy, so the environment actually gets a little more complicated, uh, even though you're creating little pockets of order. Do I say that? Yeah. Increasing order in particular subsystems necessitates increasing disorder in surroundings, right? So, like, even though it looks like we have more complicated things nowadays, we have DNA and RNA and the thinker. Um, our environment is actually more chaotic than it used to be. So no information is lost. Everything is kind of just reorganizing, due again to natural selection. So we will get into. Ooh, this is gonna be good. Okay.
Oh God, you
Okay.
used emergence. Ugh!
Yo, I put an asterisk.
Okay, I'll allow it.
See, I said weak emergence. Right. Blah blah blah. They can. Yeah, subsystems not only they interact with each other as the whole thing evolves, but they can interact with each other at different points in their own evolution. So, like the example I have here is helium accrues, makes stars. These stars fuse up to iron. Then they explode and they fuse heavier elements. But then you still have free floating helium, right? Which is just like stage one of evolution. And that combines with the heavier elements. So, yeah, I have here not just permutations, right, not just recombinations, but permutations and recombination. That's like technical language, but it just means that it's not like, helium is just evolving into humans, right? It's like helium is evolving into humans, but there's also everything in between that's interacting, right, at the same time. So that allows for much more nuance, um, as we enjoy here on Earth, right? So
Enjoy.
enjoy, yes. Um, this slide looks a little complicated. If anyone's familiar with Wolfram's rules, this is rule 32 or something. Essentially, what happens is you start with like, you either have, so you have three ones and zeros, right? Um, and what comes after that, the bottom block, is contingent on the top three, right? So what do you have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, right. Yeah, you have 2 to the 3. Um,
Wait,
so like
is
if there's
that's binary that you've Tetrised right there?
yeah, this is binary. Yeah, it's black and white.
Okay.
Yeah, so like if your three parents are white, then you're gonna be white. If you have two parents that are white, one that's black on the right, then you're black. You know.
Okay.
Um, and just with these different rules, you can obviously permute this and have any combination of rules. You can get very different results when you run it over and over. And this rule is special because you have all these chaotic patterns that show up, and it's very surprising. Like Wolfram, he essentially thinks he has like figured out the whole universe, but
Also, he does the best streams. He's just an adorable old man, and I love it.
oh, I've seen some of those. Yeah,
They're the best.
yeah.
So, real quick, is this a fucking Sierpinski triangle you've got going on this side? Like, what's happening with that?
No, this is just a zoomed in scrolling down, but the triangles do show up a lot, and it's just an artifact of
Okay.
probably the three rules making one child.
So,
But
three
the
parents is a triangle. Got it.
yeah, like the point here is that most of these, when you run them, they end up being like all black or all white, or they make very periodic patterns, right? But then you can have some that have chaotic patterns. And so what it looks like is he has found a very simple example of how you can turn simplicity into chaos, right? And that's very interesting because in the dawn of life on Earth, things were, I guess, pretty simple in terms of chemistry, and then after a while, you got very complicated things. So this is the emergence, as I say, of complexity, right? And it's only because these rules at each layer are able to interact with themselves in a sense. Like for example, like I know I point at the screen, but you can't see that, obviously. But like the neighbors of the children can interact with each other because they become the rules of the next generation, right?
Okay.
It's a little complicated, but
Yeah, I don't understand, but okay.
like, how can I
I have no idea.
like if there's three above you, based on the three above you, you get the one below, right?
Okay.
So if you zoom in on this, it's very hard to, but at any point, at any given point, you look at the three above and it explains that point. And that's the same for its like adjacent cell. The three above it will tell it what color it's going to be, right?
Okay.
And here I say that, yeah, you get chaos. How do you get it? You get it because I've emphasized it as much as I can right here. You see? Right, because they interact with themselves. And Wolfram, being really brave, he thinks this also explains this particular seashell.
I mean, it does look similar.
It does look similar, right? But now we get into cellular automata, which is, again, I'm coming at it from the computational side of things, and we're trying to explain like how we get all this complexity from very simple rules, very simple like physics, essentially. Um, and you can see, if you haven't heard of Game of Life, you should check it out. It's just interesting. Um, People have actually programmed like a calculator in Game of Life, which is insane to me. But there's all these different things. Essentially, just set up an initial condition of black and white cells, and I guess whether you want to consider the white cells here alive, then they only survive based on their neighboring cells. So it's very simple rules, but it leads to very complicated patterns, right?
I mean,
You can have these.
my brain is definitely making like that. It looks like living shit. My brain is telling me that that's what cells
Yeah,
do.
yeah, but that's the point. Like this is at least in part an explanation for how very basic biology works. Um, Perhaps this is like on the level of chemistry because it's such simple biology that it's just how like chemical patterns can show up. Um, Anyhow, what else do I have? Okay, so this is jarring. Seizure warning. No, hold on. So the giant one is just rock paper scissors. So there's three colors or four,
And then
but
suddenly
essentially
there's fucking two.
yeah, one of them consumes the other, and then the other consumes the other, and it's like a circle, right? It's a feedback, and it ends up making very complicated patterns. Here, let me get into. Actually, I'm gonna skip to the long one because it's cooler. Yeah, if you don't understand the Wolfram's rules, I'm sure there's videos out there.
Oh god, the stream ended. How do I fix that? Oh no,
Oh, did it?
it's fine.
No, I think I ended it.
Uh
It's just loading my shit.
okay. So would you say that these little blocks are emergent qualities of a system?
Yeah, in a very weak sense, yes, for sure. That's yeah. The reason I put the asterisk on all the emergence is because they're in philosophy. There's the strong and the weak emergence, and the strong, by definition, implies like a break in the conservation of information, which physicists despise.
I mean, I do too, but go on.
Yeah, well, any logical person should be like, well, because that's magic, essentially. You're saying if there's suddenly extra information in any part of the system, that's magic. It
It's
has to come from somewhere. It's like the conservation of logic. Um, Yeah, so these are uh, essentially particles that follow very simple rules. Can you see it on yours?
Yeah, those are turtles. Go on.
Yeah. So what you like the colors represent the different particles, and they either attract one another or they repel one another. And depending on how much nuance you have there, like how many different colors you have, you can have like complicated systems. You can have some that attract more, some that attract less, some that repel more, some that don't even care about each other. And with all that, you end up getting a huge variety of emergent uh, complexities, such as these like cells that are pretty ubiquitous.
Wow, that one just
Um,
fucking ate the other one. Oh,
yeah, they
I
did.
don't like that. That one's exploding. Go. I'm sorry. What is happening?
they usually explode. Oh, these are cool. These end up making like caterpillars.
I like that one better. Oh, look at that fucking self-organization.
Yeah,
This is definitely a cybernetic system.
I mean, we haven't mentioned self-organization, but that's essentially what it is. Of course, like it's a fallacy to correlate this with any multicellular organism because these are just way too simple. If anything, these are like little RNAs or little proteins.
I mean,
Even that is
we
too
do
much.
live in an RNA world.
We do. I think that's plenty for that.
All right, you need to post the link to that in the fucking chat at the end because that's amazing. Oh wait, do I have
I
the
shall.
link? I might have the link.
Might go in full screen. Yeah, primordial systems, reaction diffusion systems. That's what these are. And again, seizure warning. So I'm jumping right back into it.
Woof.
Uh, on the left is like reaction diffusion. But you end up getting, they even call it Turing patterns. Oh, here, I have it at the title. Okay. Yeah, if you look up Turing patterns, you'll see all these. They either like consume each other or they avoid each other. It's a very basic mechanism for generating complexity out of like just those very simple rules, like red always eats blue and blue always eats yellow and yellow always eats red, something like that.
I
You end up
mean,
getting very
that
complicated stuff.
that is how rock paper scissors work. Yes.
Yes, good. I'm glad it's been picked up. But in rock paper scissors, how you can like add like airplane and all this bullshit.
I what?
Like, yeah, you can add layers to it. You can add
Oh, like rock paper scissors Spock or some fucking
like
I don't remember.
ghost fucking gun. Gun beats sledgehammer.
Okay,
I don't-
that's too much.
okay, if you were in middle school with a bunch of white kids, you probably played this. So.
I think I was in middle school primarily with Asian kids, but I don't remember.
Well, that the logic applies when you have complicated things, and they all have their own sort of hierarchy to them. You can end up getting very, yeah, I say complicated, but they're also very orderly, right? Like red always sticks with red, and vice versa. Like um, it's complication, but it's not chaotic complication. It's orderly complication. Um, so yeah, I don't go into the biology very much. I'm just showing you like here's how cells are combined and they make bigger cells. Multicellularity. I don't know why all the sperm decided to attack each other to begin with, but that's what happened. Um,
I didn't see sperm until just now. Now I'm upset.
yeah, they're not actually sperm, but yeah, and then as that grows in complexity, you get proteins, RNA, DNA, right? Protein complexes, like on the left, they naturally coil up together because that's like they're allowed to like contain potential energy that way and chemical energy, so they can unfold. Uh, and here in the middle, you see this like insane simulation of DNA duplicating itself.
Yeah, Jesus fucking Christ. I've had to look at that a lot.
Yeah, it's like when this came out, it blew my fucking mind. Especially this one on the right. Like, there's a little motor protein just dragging the cell around, whatever it is.
Yeah, like it's no big fucking deal, which I guess it's not
Yeah,
because there's like no resistance in cytoplasm or whatever, but you know.
yeah. Oh, yeah. You mean how heavy it looks?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully, at least from the stuff that I showed you before, you can see how some of these complicated things can arise, right? It's not like it shouldn't be as mind blowing as it was when like I first saw this stuff.
Is
Um,
is this like a fucking ion channel over here on the left?
um, it might be because there's a hole in the middle. Yeah.
It's fucking
What do you,
conformational changes occurring again. I hate that phrase.
yeah.
Go on though.
So yeah, I'm just touching on this stuff. Obviously, there's a lot more than one slide's worth of information about proteins.
Oh god, pleat sheets and corkscrews and alpha helices and oh my god.
What do they call it? Like the layers of complexity, or it's like
Pyramid
the
scheme
primary
of
structure, the
biology. Yeah, it's primary,
secondary.
secondary, tertiary, and then
Yeah,
some granular shit happens after that.
yeah. But yeah, they're just chains of amino acid, and for all intents and purposes, like that is a code. You're storing a code which stores the information for how to unfold, how to react with like the physics of the environment. Um, and then when you get to RNA, uh, you have what are they composed of? Yeah, it's amino acids again, right?
Yeah, but like
Same.
shit tier aminos.
Yeah, same as proteins, but more complicated. Obviously, look at this giant thing on the right. Um, but yeah, single helixes. Uh, I say that they're the original quines. That's like one of the theories that they replicate themselves like entirely thanks
Yeah,
to the help of the environment. They can just duplicate themselves, which proteins can make other proteins react like they react,
yeah, they can
but they
unfold
yeah
one another like some sort of
yeah.
fucking insane. Oh, prions, Rin. I know you're
Oh, we're
listening.
getting we're getting there. We're getting there. I just added the prion slack. Okay, DNA's blah blah. You know about DNA. It's just a more advanced, like more nuanced, is able to be stored because it's a more complicated structure, uh, and you can encode more bits. Essentially, you have the nucleobases, adenine, guanine, cytosine, uh,
And
thymine,
yeah, the T.
and uracil for RNA. Yeah,
There was a fucking. Sorry, I'm gonna go on a little bit of a tangent. When I was doing the grad school
that's
tour
fine.
of all of the little, I don't know, like fucking over in the like technology drive, they've got that nanotech lab, and there's this amazing Russian guy who was like, we don't need to make nano machines because we just use DNA for everything. And then he showed
Yeah,
us like his research of he made a cube out of DNA and put some gold inside of it for unknown reasons. I assume something to
just a
do.
flex, I'm sure.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
Yeah, yeah, it's just a flex. Yeah, we have there's something called DNA computing. You use DNA as a
Whoa,
computer. So
I don't like that.
yeah, we're already there. Yeah, it's just in its early stages, I guess.
I mean, I think
Um,
we were doing some like Schwann cell
this is a
editing
hideous slide.
with DNA nanomachines at UCF at least. looking at fucking around with I think it was MS or something. I don't know. That we've got a weird amount of nano research going on at UCF, and I don't like it because I'm not
A weird
involved.
amount. Oh, I see. Yeah. Here on the right, I have our latest simulation of the corona. Shout outs, coronavirus. Definitely not a fake thing.
Corona Chan is the real guest star this week.
Yeah, sadly, but you
She's
can see it's just a more we've almost simulated it entirely. Like I think the insides are what's left. Like we know what its outside looks like and how it works, but
Yeah, because
um,
apparently fucking like atom and molecule level simulations are now NBD.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We're stealing a lot of strategies from like game design.
Oh, it's game theory.
No, not game theory. No, Jesus, not game theory. Like graphics engines,
Yeah. Oh, like the
that's
open protein folding screensaver thing that used to be a thing,
yeah,
and now we just do it
electric
for
sheep
free
or
at
whatever.
CERN or something. I don't know. Fucking
Um, Pause. I like it like that.
gel nanas.
So prions are yeah. So there's life. This is how I see it. I'm probably wrong, but it seems like there's life, which is sort of like this like uh, metabolism that's going on. It's like a kind of a chemical burn, right?
Yeah.
And then you have these bitches, prions, viroids, and viruses, which kind of just like ride the wave. You know, they need us. They can't live on their own, but they use our energy to reproduce themselves. They're little fucking pernicious little tag along things.
But are they alive?
They're on the edge. They're literally on the edge because there's us, then there's our border which they're on, and then there's the environment. So um, yeah, prions. Yeah, look at how malignant like in animals it affects the structure of the brain and other neural tissues. All progressive, have no known effective treatment, always fatal. It's just like and all prions do is they're a disfigured fucking protein, and then they pass on that disfigurement to their neighbors, so they can't do their normal protein stuff, which is like the very foundation of life is proteins unfolding in very particular ways. So it's just ridiculous if you ask me. But yeah, viroids thankfully only infect plants. Um, but viruses, of course, are more complicated and they infect everything. They're catalyzed by life. That's how I put it.
Dutch elm disease.
Here, I'm gonna get a little light.
Oh, like fucking. I don't. This is way a side tangent, but like, you guys ever seen like those fucking tumors on trees? That's tree cancer, and that's
Yeah,
fascinating.
yeah. And like whales don't get cancer. Uh, naked mole rats don't get cancer.
Wait, they don't?
Uh,
Oh, that's why they're the bad guys in Fallout.
that's cute. Um, but yeah, here's just a little tour of more complex things. Obviously, this is like 100 times more complex. Bacteria. Uh, you know about bacteria.
I have heard a thing or two, yes.
They're good for you. Look how many. 10 to the 30. So I'm doing a little presentation. I'm sorry. You're good.
Do you guys eat your bacteria with the gram shell on or off?
On. And just a little more complicated than that, you have
Oh,
diatoms.
we
They
use
are
those in
essentially
toothpaste.
algae. Do we? Oh
Yeah,
yeah, I heard of that.
it's
But
disgusting, but look at them. It's like the junk drawer in your parents' house.
yeah, yeah. It's like all the fucking trinkets you find. Like yeah,
Oh,
yeah. They
wait.
make up 20 to 50% of the oxygen produced by the entire planet. So, we need them. They also break down basically all the like the sand, or they make the sand.
And they are.
Silica.
They
That's
are
what
the
they do.
sand.
They are the sand. Yes.
Also, aren't they like primarily oxygen, the primary oxygen producers, or at least
Yeah.
part of that
Yeah.
subgroup? Fuck trees.
Yeah. Yeah. Algae makes up more than trees for sure. I mean, the Earth is 70%, water. So.
Yeah, but it's
Oh,
how
here's.
can it be? It's only 2020 years old.
Shut up. These are a bunch of algae. Yeah, you can see how they come in different shapes. They're all like symmetric, but
Oh
they're on the
shit.
cord.
I think I
Um,
know that guy in the upper right. No, right. Yeah.
mhm.
The another fucking side tangent. When I was in high school, one of my friends, whose name I cannot remember. This is all coming from semantic memory right now, but someone's dad was a microbiologist, like specifically for oceanographic biology, and I think that one second one from the bottom on the right is Braziria, which he named because it looked like a bra. And that's the
This
stupidest
one,
shit ever heard. Yeah, I think it's that one. This one right here.
I can't see where you're pointing.
Oh, well, it's the one that you're pointing to, but my mouse is bigger.
Okay. Oh yeah, here's a bigger one. This is actually just one cell. It's just got a bunch of shields on it.
Some chunky boys.
Some chunky boys. 1 micrometer. Um, yeah, it's a millionth of a meter. Or something. Yeah. Okay, so now I get into trees of life. Just showing you again the rate of complexity growth here,
Oh god,
and it's not really
fungi.
quick if you think about it, because what we have 4 billion years for this to take place. So
And how much of
we're
that was
still,
like fucking not even reactive?
yeah, like the primordial era. Yeah,
And here's a big thonk question: which came first, RNA or like just straight up protein?
probably proteins. They're simpler.
You would think that, but how did the proteins?
Yeah, it's very confusing because if you look at them today, the RNA codes for proteins, and the proteins help synthesize the RNA. So it's like, what? It's very chicken and egg for sure. Uh,
I watched that episode of Star Trek. It was a good one.
so yeah, you get complicated trees of life.
I
Here's
really,
us
I
at
really
the top left.
do not like that fungus is part of that because they're aliens.
They are. I just put this up here to show how freaking complex it is, right?
Yeah.
In case anyone didn't notice that already. Like,
Well, I think
there's a lot of different
the
things.
usual graphic you see is like that one that's like an actual tree, but this is like
Yeah,
way closer to representative of
yeah,
what the fuck is going on. And I think
yeah,
even the next slide's one that you were showing, that one doesn't even like cover most of the dead ends. Like they're on there, but like there are
yeah.
so many fucking dead ends.
Oh, here's some. Yeah, so this shows. I like this one a lot because it shows like the radiant circles that go out. That's time. So since it hasn't branched here, it's because nothing complex has emerged yet. But then you can see it's being pruned by giant extinctions. So uh, yeah, so what's left is just this like skim, and then it goes all the way around. So we still have bacteria, archaea, everything essentially.
Yeah,
Except we lost probably a shitload of fish, shitload of amphibians, uh,
yeah. I'm
shitload of reptiles.
the fucking mega fauna. I miss those guys.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I know, right?
chat's asking where the thinker is in all this.
um, it's the on the bottom right. The humans. This is the bottom right. But
Oh.
it is a misconception to think that we are at the top, like how this one. Like I've seen trees of life that show us like at the top. It's like that's not how that works.
Well, I mean, it's like
Just
the fucking world maps where the North America is in the middle.
yeah, yeah. It's the same fucking narcissism. Uh, oh yeah, here you go. So the one on the right is just the top half of the one on the left. So so that you can see all the pretty little animals in high def. Um, there's too much. There's so much. Like it's insane. Like most of these things are sea creatures. But this is cool because you can see like for example on the right, you can see that horses are closer to whales than they are to elephant. Like
I mean,
what?
those are two fucking things that I didn't even consider being related at all. So go
Well, I mean
on.
they're quadrupeds, you know. So
And so are whales, apparently.
well, yeah, they certainly were.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, whales were mammalians that came up and then were like, "Nah, fuck the land," and
And
went
they
back.
turned
Yeah,
around
that
and was
is,
like, yep.
if only.
I should at this point shout out to a fact that my sister told me, which I looked it up, you know, so it's not just hearsay. But
Well, I mean,
apparently, five different times organisms have converged on the evolution of crabs, so they've just become crabs again.
so
Um,
you're saying that crabs are the perfect life form. You may not like it, but
yeah,
this is
for
what
for
peak efficiency looks like.
for yeah, exactly. Yeah, like for different environments, they end up evolving into crabs. It's it's funny, but it's
I think
apparently
it
the
is funny.
situation. So yeah, see, this one shows like humans up top. Um, obviously, you could splay this tree out any way you want. So
It displays
don't think that
literally
you are.
Darwin up top. Talk about fucking
Yeah,
ego.
yeah, yeah, yeah. He probably drew it. Okay, okay. So this is the only equation I get into. So don't even worry. Don't even worry.
Oh my god.
It's okay. This is the price equation. This is a way to measure evolution. We don't really have better ways, to be honest.
Well,
Um,
yeah, because humans are primarily mathematical creatures.
yeah. Well, I'm saying we don't even have better mathematical ways to do it. Um, unless someone can enlighten me further on that.
Oh, actually, fucking. Well, I'll plug it later on the Facebook page, but Lisa Soros does fucking evolution and math and shit, and y'all should check her out because, yeah, this price
Okay.
equation, imagine it exploding outwards into fucking machine learning and shit. I don't actually remember
Oh
exactly
Jesus.
what she does, but it's really cool.
Yeah, I've seen expansions on it, but this is it at its core. It's just the uh, the subsystems changes over time, and in addition, the environmental reaction to those changes over time. I won't even bother with the details. Covariance, just what do I have here?
Ah!
Yeah, the two very blah blah blah.
Math definitions. I did
Yeah, here,
not
wait.
take 3 calculuses to have to ever look at this shit again.
Look, Wikipedia explains it really well. It's the covariance is just the yeah, it captures the effects of natural selection. Um, if it's positive, then the trait is predicted to increase over time in the average. And if it's negative, then it'll decrease over time. So it's essentially the fitness of the individual subpopulation trait changes, and then you have to add on how the environment reacts to the total uh, population's trait changes. But yeah, unfortunately, there's much more math to be done. Yeah, I have here the price equation is linear, so obviously it's fucking wrong. Uh, well, it does a decent job, but it's like a first order approximation,
Yeah.
right?
Well, yeah,
And
no, and it's like fucking models of systems and shit. It's all until we get a better one. Kuhn's all like, "Fuck that paradigm. We're sticking with it."
yeah, yeah, and we, like you said, there's modifications of it to make it more complicated, so that's good. But what do I have? Here's a justification for why we need nonlinear models for it. Uh, Here's a quote from this PhD bro. Essentially, he says here most everyday life is nonlinear, um, and if it is linear, then you can add superposition arguments, which means that you can break the system apart into constituents and then solve those constituents independently, and then add all the solutions together to get the final answer. But anytime you have cooperation, competition, or self, like the system is reacting with itself, then you have a nonlinear system and the superposition principle doesn't hold. So things aren't just the sum of their parts anymore, right? They're the sum
Yeah.
of their parts, but also all those interrelations
Oh god,
that,
here we get into fucking emergence.
yeah, yeah, of the weak variety. Um, okay, now we get to cool shit.
What do you
Here's
mean now? Cool shit. All that shit was cool shit. What could
well,
possibly come next?
because I like the fucking the simulations are really cool.
All right, fair
Give me a
enough.
second. Simple in it, yeah. Why not?
I don't know how, but you're actually in on time with all of this, and it's amazing.
Yeah, it's been an hour, but it's because I'm not, I'm trying to rush through it. Okay, can you see this?
Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't write all this code. Shout outs to Coding Train on YouTube. I modified his code, and essentially what you have here. Do you see it?
Mm-hmm. That was cool.
These these little buggers are going to keep generating at the bottom, and the process is as such. The best ones, the ones that get closest to the goal, and the ones that also don't hit any boundaries, those ones get to reproduce and be part of the next population. Otherwise, it's just like kind of random. So you can see really quickly they've already figured it out. Like that was super quick. Here, I'll do it again.
So
So they start out
you're saying that
random. Yeah.
these fucking Rice Krispie treats know how to do things better?
Yeah. Yeah, their trajectory towards the target is just like an array of numbers, right? Um, like position and velocity. And so look at them; they all aggregate. Like it's very simple. I mean, it looks kind of complicated just looking at the code.
I mean that is a small amount of code, so
Yeah, yeah, it is a small amount of code. You have a mating pool. Uh, you calculate their fitness each time, and you have mutations too. Like I can up the mutation rate um, by 10 times, and then you'll see they won't get to the goal nearly
whoa.
as fast. It's going to take forever because like they keep mutating, and so they're not remembering,
Yeah.
who did the best or how to do the best.
Well, this is where like the selective pressure rather than just random mutation comes in.
Yeah, yeah. So you have to dial that back for it to work. I have a slightly more complicated one here. Da. This is getting a little dark here, isn't it?
What? You mean like outside?
Yeah, for my view at least, you have nice lighting. Um,
Wait, I turned on every lamp in this room because otherwise all you could see was like my fucking cat ears.
Nothing wrong with that. Okay, so wait, is this the same one? It looks like the same.
Yes, it does.
Oh, you know what? I started with the more complicated one.
That's the smallest amount of code for a fucking iterative evolution.
Yeah. Let me find it.
Oh god,
Okay.
wine.
You got some wine going?
I ran out, but yes.
Get some more.
I mean, I drank all of this of wine, so maybe I'm good for like a minute.
Can you see this?
Yeah,
Okay, so the exact same thing, except this time the barrier is it just slows them down.
instead of
And
killing them.
yeah, and this one is going much more quick. Uh, but the only real difference, see, I was supposed to start with this one. You see how they're deciding to just go left or right? Because they only have like 2 seconds to live. Kind of sad. I can add a longer lifespan. Um, but yeah, the ones that do the best, they get to mate more, and then just by that, over time, you get the better ones to survive, and eventually they all cooperate like a school of fish. Um, but to be fair, this is just a very basic genetic algorithm. It has like no no real analogy in
Well, now
nature.
hold on, because it actually does. This looks very, very similar to social cognitive systems. I mean, minus the part where they like live and die based on. Well, I guess you could argue that too. The ones that, like, as specifically your school of fish example, like
Hmm.
gaze following and shit is how we're able to like use the societal cognition to like decide what is good and what's not. So in the example of the fish schools, if you got a fish that's like, I know that food comes from the left side, then that fish will take that information and go hang out on the left. But if all the other
Yeah,
fish are going to the right, that fish will be like, okay, my information is bad. I see that they're doing something over there, so I should do that. And these little Rice
yeah.
Krispie treats are doing the same thing, except they die if they're wrong.
Yeah, well, everyone dies no matter what. It's
Oof.
just it's essentially like God intervenes after like 200 frames, and then just takes the best of them, lets them mutate, and lets them reproduce to make the next generation. Um,
Heard.
but yeah, it's still hereditary, right? It's not evolution per se, but it's how you can inherit positive genes and how they're naturally selected for. Uh,
But they're only contextually positive. I will throw that out there.
right, based on the fitness function that I've defined, like which nature is going to define.
Okay,
Uh,
now this looks like more complicated code.
yeah, so the fitness is just you here this dot fitness times equals 10. That's if it made it to the goal.
mm.
So you multiply it by 10, and then this dot fitness divided by 10 if they crash. So that's like the meat of the algorithm right there. You boost their fitness if they make it, and you detract if they don't make it.
Oh, so okay, there's a base level of fitness though, so even if they don't make it, there's still a chance. Interesting.
Yeah, somewhat. Yeah. Um. Okay, so let me just show you what I'm gonna show you before I show it to you.
Word. I don't know what that
So
meant.
that was linear model where all the organisms are uh, evaluated simultaneously, once per generation. Um, Obviously, that's a very basic thing, but you can think of organisms that do actually wait until mating season to compete, right? And then, but otherwise they don't interact very much. So I put here fireflies as an example, but there's lots of examples for that. So that's like the best analogy you can have for it. Um, but there are nonlinear models, which I'm going to show you. with continuous evolution, the organisms do interact and are evaluated continuously as they survive. So here, the fitness function isn't something that you apply at once. It's just like essentially the longer you live, the fitter you are. It's kind of something that comes up naturally. And yes, I will show you that. Again, I saw the spoilers, but
Do I have the fucking slideshow pulled up on the side just in case? Oh! Oh yeah! I love this
yeah,
one.
yeah. So these fishies, again, I didn't write this code, but you can feed them. Oh god, it's lagging. But when they eat the food, they grow bigger, and they can, if they get big enough, they can eat each other, and they just have to run into each other to like evaluate whether or not they eat each other. So
I also
um,
played Spore.
yeah, where's a good one? But they can also mate, of course, if they run into each other and uh, they are fit enough. They can mate with each other and make little babies. They can also die if they don't eat or if they get eaten. So the population is dynamic, unlike the last time. They're evaluated like continuously, right? Just based on how they run into each other, and all their motion is essentially random. So you do end up getting like interesting results if you let this run forever. You can get like one giant fish that just ends up dying because it eats everything.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. They can
Yeah,
predate themselves out of existence.
right, right. Which you do see in nature all the time.
Looking at you, humanity.
That's true. I wasn't thinking of humans, but
Oh, sorry.
that's
Looking at you, mega goldfish.
yeah. You can see they still have like an image stock on them because they're just JPEGs. Like
I too
someone did
am
a
too
job.
lazy to fucking edit shit.
Yeah. Um, but it's cute. This is to my knowledge the best we got. Obviously it's like it's got a theme on it. They're all fish. All these fish have qualities. Like they have an array of uh, essentially genes, which is like how good they taste,
Big
uh,
boy.
how big their eyes are, how good their eyes taste. It's crazy. Like the code is very weird. Um, but yeah, based on all that, oh yeah, their gender, they have to be male and female uh, to reproduce. Um, yeah, so that's it for that. And that's actually basically it for my slide here.
Oh my
I
god.
can, yeah, I'm almost on the money, aren't I?
Yeah, TIL fish
Um,
don't live on a gender spectrum.
yeah, yeah, I know. I should put a little spectra in there. Have a little gay fish sex, whatever you're into. Um, this is just bullshit because I ran out of time. So like, I just wrote a bunch of things.
Oh shit, you included the abiogenesis. I love you. You're the best.
Yeah, abiogenesis, RNA world. Um, we don't really know how life started, like in terms of the details. Hopefully, if I've explained how like we can go from simple to complicated things, uh, or should I say like semi-chaotic things into more orderly things,
You
just by
should and in
natural selection.
fact did say that, so yes.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, hopefully it's like because that's my main point, right? Uh, I also don't know about Fermi paradox. Where the hell are the aliens? Don't know where evolution's going. No one knows. Uh, I would have liked to get into the entropy of the situation because it's not like a systems theoretic look per se. Uh, but it is very adjacent to looking at these things as systems
Yeah.
and environments, because like there's for life to be there, you need to have an entropy gradient to borrow the energy from.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but that's a little too complicated to get into. I just have here that the entropy is like usually open, blah blah blah. We're all dissipative structures. You know, we are. What's the opposite of dissipate? Uh,
Dissipate. I don't...
we come together, right, and we grow. So we don't dissipate. I mean, we do dissipate when we get older,
I
like over
guess it
the
would be
growing
like
up.
generate.
Yeah, but the point here is that you can always zoom out, and it's dissipative. Or
Yeah.
if you zoom in, like your cells are dying all the time, but they're just riding like a little cycle, uh, borrowing a little bit of order, so long as they can give off more heat.
Yeah, because heat death of the universe, maybe, possibly. I don't
Yeah,
know.
exactly. Yeah.
Apparently, there's a
Okay.
parallel universe underneath the northern ice cap. That was the thing.
There is. I
There
didn't know
is,
that.
no, it was this fucking pop size shit because there was, they were doing the Anita array, over northern ice cap, to detect some neutrons.
Neutrinos.
There
Yes.
we go. Um, looking for like supernovas and shit. But they noticed that they were coming like fucking out of the planet, and they were like, "What is happening?" And so of course, like fucking, I can't remember the name of the fucking newspaper or whatever, but they were like, "There's a parallel universe underneath the North Pole." And like every scientist ever was like, yes, so there's a layer that's probably reflecting neutrinos, but parallel universe or whatever, that sounds cool.
Yeah. It's like there's a section of our universe that is parallel, but it's not another universe.
What if orthogonal? Because the Earth is only roundish, so it's basically orthogonal to that plane. I heard that somewhere.
Yeah. I'm not gonna debate it. I'm not gonna address that.
uh,
I'd rather just watch this monkey gif.
yeah, I'm gonna have
Oh.
to, Jane. I need you to do a science stream design of like the fucking Big Bang, just immediately transitioning into the thinker. That's my biggest takeaway from today.
Yeah, it took 14 billion years, or so we estimate, right? Uh, but yeah, hopefully you understand how everything works now, because
I mean,
that
I
was my
do.
point.
I know literally everything. So
That's the idea. Like you don't know the details, but you know the structure, right?
yeah,
Just on a branch that hasn't died yet.
oof. Yeah, but we're like, I mean, the branch is cutting itself because systems can interact with themselves.
Yeah.
No, that was good. That was good. I think, I mean, unless you have anything specific on this next time, I was kind of thinking of this stream, which is the week after next, so like the first week of November, that I would like look at like what fucking Wiener was looking at. I'm never not going to call him that. For general systems theory, like a clockwork mechanism, maybe touch on a little teleology because that's always fun, but largely unrelated. Uh,
Teleology in terms of like non-religious
yeah,
texts.
like teleological systems. But yeah, I want to touch on some like mechanical systems because I have this thing and I really want to put it together.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. You and Rin and anyone really, not anyone, but you two are invited if you want to come. And then I'm gonna fucking raffle that shit off for the patrons because they like that sort of thing.
Cool. Cool. Yeah,
Anyway,
I'd be
thank
happy.
you. Thank you for
Sure.
this was like an amazingly organized, I think the most organized science stream ever, and now I have like a bar I have to reach from now on. So thanks for that.
I like fucking with PowerPoint. It's a lot of fun. But thank you as well. I guess I'll deuce now. I got more beer to drink, so.
True. I better open the next bottle of wine. Okay, good night, Jan.
Good night. Nah, I'll see you on Discord.
Oh, that's true. We're gonna do some spooks.
Bye, everyone. Stay safe.
Okay, let's see. So yeah, I'm not gonna go through the patrons again because I'm fucking drunk. But how do I get rid of this gigantic fucking thing? There we go. Oh no, I'm too small now. Anyway, yeah, next stream, which is gonna be the week after next, we're gonna cover some more systems and. Yeah, okay, I'll post that, and then I'll post this on YouTube, and join the Discord, and subscribe to the Twitch, and become a patron, and Facebook is a thing. Okay. Yeah.